Okay, so I have actually started to record right now. Thank you so much. Just to repeat what I said earlier on, I will be giving you all 8/10 for your attire. So everybody is actually sort of like dressed properly for the occasion. So well done, yeah. And the other thing in this case is I'm going to ask somebody to share screen right now. Can you please share screen? Okay. Can you please put your PowerPoint slides into presentation mode? And can you please scroll the presentation a little bit? Okay. Continue to scroll a little bit. Oh, so
Continue.
that's all. That's about all, is it?
No.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think it's enough. Yeah. So, Mr. Yi is actually going to give you roughly about should be 75% for your PowerPoint slides material. One thing that I wanted to say is you all prepared using the Canva system. Canva system in this case. Yeah. So everything is very nicely done. You can actually choose to sort of like copy and paste some charts from the internet using their own format, but you didn't do it. You used the Canva inbuilt sort of like a table or inbuilt sort of like charts over there. So the color is actually very well coordinated. So therefore, Mr. Yi is actually giving you a higher percentage of the marks over here. So I can see actually some like icons. I can see suitable pictures to be included. So that's actually a good sign. Maybe before you submit the final copy, if you can put down the name of the students in the group itself in this first page. So don't just put presented by group 3. Please put down the names and your student ID on the first page itself. That will be better. Are you okay?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So Mr. Yi is going to mute already, and I'm going to count the number of sort of like time that you take to do this presentation, yeah. Just hang on a second. So if you're ready, you tell Mr. Yi, I will start to press my sort of like stopwatch. If
I'm
you're
ready.
ready, yeah. So I will mute my mic.
So can I start now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Good morning, sir. We are Group 3. My group member have me, Lee Xing Yi, Lao YOKE, Phang Chi, and Danitra. This course is ECO ECO 4214 issue in global economy. Our group title is Agricultural of Southeast Asian Country. Next slide, please. Agriculture plays an important role in Southeast Asian country. The Southeast Asian countries include India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Nepal, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Next slide, please. There are some important of agriculture in Southeast Asian country, which is food security. Agriculture is the primary sources of food production in Southeast Asia. The majority of the population depends on agriculture for their daily sustenance. A strong agriculture sector ensure a stable and affordable food supply, reducing the risk of food shortage and hunger. 17% of available food is wasted. 20% of Indonesia crops are lost, and 50% of Philippine crops are lost. Secondly is food export will also be an importance of agriculture in Southeast Asian country. Some Southeast Asian countries are major exporters of agricultural products. For example, India is one of the world's largest producers and exporters of rice and spices. Exporting agricultural products can boost foreign exchange earnings and strengthen the country's economic position on global stage. Asian agriculture, fishery, and forestry from around the world have grown USD 17.93 billion in 2021. Thirdly is food supply chain. Begin an importance of agriculture in Southeast Asian countries. Agriculture is an important of food supply chain linking producer and consumer. Ensuring the efficiency and reliability of this supply chain is important for food availability and affordability. For example, 90% of palm oil from Malaysia and Indonesia. Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar, or Cambodia import more than 40% of their rice. Vietnam accounts for 50% of wood manufacturing production of furniture. Next slide, please. First problem in agricultural trade is trade barriers. Trade barriers including tariff, quota, and non-tariff barriers such as sanitary and phytosanitary measures can hinder the flow of agricultural products between countries. This barrier can make agricultural trade less competitive and limit market access for exporters. Second problem is price volatility. Agricultural markets are often subject to price volatility due to factors like weather events, disease outbreak, and change in supplies and demand. This volatility can make it difficult for farmers to plan and invest in their business. Lastly is quality and standard. Meeting the quality and safety standard of importing country can be a challenge for agricultural exporters. Fail to meet this standard can result in rejected shipment, increased costs, and lost market opportunity. Next slide, please. We have chosen 3 countries which are Malaysia, Vietnam, and Indonesia. I will pass to the next presenter.
Thank you, Cindy. Now let's see about the rice production of Malaysia. The Malaysian rice industry is important to country economy and food security. Rice is staple food in Malaysia and is estimated that over 90% of population consume rice on a daily basis. The rice industry also employ a large number of people, both directly and indirectly. The Malaysian government is committed to supporting the rice industry and ensure the country a staple supply of rice. The Malaysian government is working to increase the production and reduce country reliance on imported rice. This is being done through a variety measures such as providing financial assistance to farmers, investing in research and development, and promoting sustainable agriculture practice. As you can see the slide, in 2021, slightly reducing due to the number of factors because of the weather condition and pest disease. In 2022, Malaysia imported 1.24 million metrics of rice. Malaysia rice production is not sufficient to meet domestic demand. Next slide, please. Now let's see about rice, Malaysia import and export rice. Malaysia rice import increased over past 5 years. Malaysia import rice from a variety of countries, but the top 5 suppliers in 2022 are Vietnam, Thailand, Pakistan, and Cambodia. Compared to 2022 and 2023, 2021 and 2022, there is a huge increase in 2022 with 1.24 metric tons. As you can see, the production is also the same in 2022. Now, the Malaysia government is working to reduce the country's reliance on imported rice by increasing domestic production and promoting the consumption of the grain, of the other grain. However, rice is still a staple food in Malaysia and import are likely remain to necessary for the possible future. Now let's see about the rice export. Malaysia rice export has a huge decrease in 2022. Malaysia export rice to the variety country, but the top 5 destination in 2022 is Indonesia, Ethiopia, Philippines, Fiji, and Germany. The Malaysia government is working to increase rice export, but this is a challenging task. Malaysia faces competition from other rice exporting countries such as Thailand, India, and Vietnam. There is some challenges facing for Malaysia rice export industry, competition from other rice exporting country, insufficient domestic rice production, and also high costs. Additionally, Malaysia's rice domestic production is not sufficient to meet domestic demand and export demand. Overall, Malaysia is a net importer of rice while the country does export some rice. The amount of exported is much smaller than the amount of rice imported. Now I will pass it to Phang. Thank you.
Thank you, Danitra. I'm PEOW and I will be presenting the country of Vietnam. White rice, jasmine rice, and glutinous rice are some of the most popular made in Vietnam rice category for both domestic consumption and export. Since Vietnam with a long coastline, the volume of rice production in its country will decrease when it is impacted by climate change and natural disaster. For example, the production field is affected by floods, rising sea levels or temperature, weather phenomena, and salinity intrusion. Nevertheless, Vietnamese farmers have also been working on cultivating more premium rice varieties to increase the economic value of these grains. Besides, expansion in aquaculture, urban and commercial development are the another reason for costing decline in agricultural paddy as the area to dedicate rice has reduced. The reason for production in 2019 and 2020 decreased due to the expansion in development and the natural disaster such as COVID-19 led Vietnam not able to find new export market. Another reason to cause the production in 2020 decrease is the progress of cultivating winter spring rice was lower than last year, mainly due to 2 reasons. The first reason was the plan for winter spring rice production of the previous year was implemented earlier than the sowing schedule. Second reason is due to heavy rains and the water of August 30 and September 15 in lunar calendar 2020 rose quite high. In 2021, productivity of each hectare used for rice cultivation has constantly been improving during spring sessions, as it being the most fruitful season for paddy farmers, accounting for almost half of the total rice production volume in recent years. In 2022, the production dropped again due to the climate change and natural disaster, especially floods. Rice is the most valuable commodity of the agriculture sector in Vietnam, as it is a leading global exporter of rice, and it is one of the largest rice exporters in the world to earn foreign exchange and support its economy. Therefore, Vietnam is the 3rd largest rice exporter in the world, and its trend of exported rice is always positive. Furthermore, they are focusing on rice production development strategy that may be implemented until 2030 to target that they are able to export more high quality rice rather than just focusing on increasing the trading volume. In this case, The volume of rice export will increase in the future as the development strategy may fulfill the rice import requirement in developed countries and meet the high standards of the global market. So Vietnam is not usually importing rice from other countries for its consumption, since its production volume always exceeds the consumption volume, and the volume consumption of rice in its country has been decreasing gradually year on year. The option of rice is also not included in the top 10 imports in Vietnam. Vietnam only import rice when its production affected by natural disaster to avoid food shortage in its country. Vietnam also imported rice from India to meet the cheaper rice demand while storing its own rice production for export purpose. Besides, Vietnam also used the rice from India for animal feed due to the broken rice has low quality and it is not as delicious as Vietnam's export, which is difficult to find in the Vietnam market. Cambodia will be the first option for Vietnam when it is needing for import rice, as they are the neighbor country and Cambodia is also a country that provide rice export. So I will pass to YOKE.
Thank you, Puji. So I will present the part of the Indonesia. As the chart shows that during COVID-19, rice production in Indonesia in 2020 is estimated to be around 54.75% million tons, but the highest one was 75.4% in 2015. According to the research, in 2015, Indonesia may have experienced more favorable weather conditions for rice cultivation, resulting in increased productions. More modern farming techniques and inputs were also used at that time. Indonesia government implement policies such as subsidies to farmers, price support mechanisms, and agriculture infrastructure investment in 2015. This shows that in 2020, Indonesia did not receive all these benefits and the situation was affected by COVID-19. Next slide, please. The chart shows that 2020 is the year with the highest import volume of Indonesia rice. According to FAO statistics, COVID-19 spread across the world in 2020. Indonesia faced production shortage and population growth. Due to the impact of COVID-19, Indonesia needs large quantities to rice to fill the gaps and maintain food security. Then, as the population continued to grow, rice consumptions increased. More rice must be imported to bridge the gap between productions and demand. In 2020, Indonesia exported a lot of rice to other countries, but in 2021 will fall, which means exporting less. Indonesia just focused on export to relative small domestic productions and consumption, including Malaysia, Singapore, Papua New Guinea, and other nearby nations. Also, export restrictions and quotas imposed by the Indonesia government affect rice export volume. The government adjusts these policies based on domestic productions level and food security concern. So as we can see, Indonesia productions, import and export are unstable. Next slide, please. For the Global Food Security Index shows that according to the economies, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Indonesia perform best on affordability. The sustainability and adaptations of these three countries are different. Malaysia can sustainability and adaptation, but Indonesia cannot. Besides, Vietnam is moderate. Malaysia and Vietnam have stronger sustainability and adaptations, means due to proactive policies and investment compared to Indonesia. The availability shows that Malaysia and Vietnam are better than Indonesia, which does not have available paddy to export. In the quality and safety, Indonesia is bad for Malaysia and Vietnam because Indonesia rice quality varies due to factors like farming methods, storage, and infrastructure, affecting overall standard and quality. Overall, we can see the constraints. Indonesia is worse than Vietnam and Malaysia. Next slide, please. So for the ratio of country of these country. According to the FAO 2023, this slide shows that these three countries in 2020 and 2021 are not self-sufficient in their country. The most serious one we can see is Indonesia. The import ratio shows that Indonesia highly exceeds 291.43 in 2020 and 828.63 in 2021. The best import ratio is Vietnam. The import ratio shows that 1.52 in 2020 and 1.15 in 2021. The moderate import ratio is Malaysia. It shows that 22 in 2020 and 2021. But the import ratios of these countries all exceeds 1, so they are not self-sufficient. So I'll pass to the Danitra.
Thank you, Yuki. Now, Malaysia want to continue trading? Yes, because the first reason will be government support and policies. The Malaysia government has put measure into place to encourage self-sufficiency in produce rice production, such as giving paddy farmer with subsidies fertilizers. For example, the Malaysia government provides subsidies to farmer to help them purchase fertilizers and other input at the lower cost. This has helped to increase the productivity of paddy farming and improving the quality of rice produced. Second will be technology adoption and research. The reason is because in order to increase productivity and reliance, the Malaysian rice sector has been concentrating on technological adoption and research. To increase rice production and self-sufficiency, this also includes the uses of bio fertilizer R&D and training. For example, the government has invested in research and development to improve the productivity and reliance of rice production. This also include the uses of bio fertilizer R&D and training to enhance rice production and self-sufficiency. In conclusion, Malaysia is enough for trading because government support and policy have played a significant role in promoting self-sufficiency and reliance in rice production in Malaysia. Government has provided subsidies invested in rice and development, promoted realistic farming practice and diversify land uses to achieve this goal. Now I'll pass it to Phang Chi. Thank you.
So thank you, Danitra. And I am PEOW and I will be continue presenting whether Vietnam continue trading when they have enough rice. Rice is one of the staples of the world, but it is also a very important food for Vietnam. The Vietnamese consider rice a symbol of their culture as it is so fully integrated into their daily life. For Vietnam, continued trading is the best option for them. Rice requires water to grow. Currently, Vietnam is the 5th largest rice producing country in the world, and they have a competitive advantage in rice production. The reason is because they are having land that can grow rice and has the annual rainfall each year to sustain rice production. Besides, they are focused on providing quality rice as they think that quality plays the key role for sustainable export, and it should be the way forward for local firms to build their brands in the global market. Therefore, they will be having an opportunity to become the largest rice producer and export country in the world after the quality has improved. Importing rice also can be an advantage for Vietnam as it can be a part of rice processing and export supply chain. Imported rice can be blended with domestically grown rice to meet specific quality and quantity requirements of international buyers, which can enhancing export competitiveness. Diversification of rice varieties will be another advantage for Vietnam. Importing rice can allow Vietnam to access different varieties and quality of rice that may not be grown domestically. This can be beneficial for meeting the preference of consumer and catering to specific market demands, both domestically and for export. Now I will pass it to YOKE.
Thank you, Puji. So for the Indonesia, if rice is not enough, will it continue trading? My answer is yes. Since the pandemic, the average rice consumptions of the Indonesian populations has increased. According to the Statista, when the pandemic hit, per capita weekly consumptions increased to 125.26 kilograms. It will continue to decline until 2021, reaching 121.29 kilograms per capita per week. It is expected that per capita rice consumptions in Indonesia will continue to decrease by 5 kilograms in the next few years. Therefore, per capita consumptions is expected to shrink to 115.29 kilograms per capita in 2031 years. Indonesia needs to import largest amount of rice and produce rice for their country. The second reason will be affected by climate change. Indonesia frequent severe weather events such as drought, floods, and hurricanes can damage rice crops and disrupt supply chains. This event could lead to short-term shortage and require largest imports to stabilize rice supply. So I will pass to the Xingyi.
Thank you, YOKE. As I have researched, many Southeast Asian countries are not fully self-sufficient in terms of food production. Southeast Asian countries are largely self-sufficient in the production of certain agricultural staples such as rice, wheat, some fruit, and vegetables. They often depend on import of various food items to meet their population needs. Factors such as population growth, limit arable land, and climate conditions can affect food production. For example, India is one of the largest producers of rice and wheat, but still imports certain food items to meet demand. Next slide, please.
Hello.
If not enough, continue trading. Yes, I will be continue trading, and there are some reasons why I continue trading. First is trading can stimulate economic growth by creating opportunity for business to expand into foreign markets. Reason second is trading encourage country to specialize in producing the goods and service they can produce more efficiently. Next slide, please. Idea of globalization for agriculture trends. First is promoting sustainable and diversified export. Encouraging the production and export of a wider range of agricultural products while ensuring sustainable practice and considering the country resource endowments, technology, and consumer preference. Next is ensuring food security. While globalization can bring benefit in terms of access to a wider range of food products, it is important to maintain a balance between trade and domestic production to ensure food security. This can be achieved through a combination of import diversification, domestic production support, and strategy reserve. Thank you. That's all of our group presentation. And this is our reference list and group log. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much to the students Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Danitra. Thank you so much, Xin Yi, Piao Chi, and Yoke in this case. Okay, it's time for Mr. Yi to ask questions. Um, I don't think it's easy for you all to discuss with one another. So let's see who wants to volunteer. Yeah. The total time that you took in this case is less than 30 minutes, but above 25 minutes. So this is very good time management. So you will get stronger marks for time management in this case. So no issue. So I'm going to start with the question right now. My question is, what is it that you learn from this assignment in terms of the process? Mr. E is not talking about the content, yeah? So I'm talking about the process of doing this assignment. What is it that you learn from the process itself? Each person will say one point. Yeah, you can volunteer to start in this case. The process. Okay, so the process, if I use a little bit Mandarin, 这个过程, I'm not talking about the content. So, if you were to tell me that, oh, Malaysia is now don't have sufficient rice in this case, this is not what Mr. Yi wanted. But if you were to tell me in this case is, when I was actually researching in this case, I actually found out that, oh, this is actually challenging, or I found out that, hey, this works in this case, or maybe in the process, I find that it's very difficult for us to coordinate some of the things together. So I'm talking about the process, yeah? So it's not the content. Yeah, everybody will have got to answer this question. So you all can choose to decide who starts first, yeah?
I start first.
Okay.
So, during the process for us to doing this assignment, I think that contribution and responsible is very important, because if like we didn't contribute together, we also cannot create out so beautiful slides, and the information maybe is not correct. And then we are responsible, so we will how to say, we will go to do the content to become very well and present it out. And
Okay, I tell.
Oh, next person.
Okay, I tell. By this assignment, we also learn a lot of techniques, a lot of how to make our self own graphs. Like we learn a lot of things, how to make graphs by our own. We never use from the internet. We use by ourselves. So we research all that, and also time management. So we did like this time, okay, you do this. This time you do this. We each hours like I mean like talk in the group chat, so we all coordinate our work equally. So by this group assignment, I also learned a lot of how to make graphs, how to do editing, how to make, like, I not only me, from other members also, I learned a lot of things. Thank you.
Yeah, two more to go.
So I first lah. I learned how to solving, to how to solve the problem that we meet in the group presentation. During the preparation and delivery of a presentation, all of our group member encounter some challenges on the graph or presentation. Because the time is too long, then we try to say more on our presentation, and we meet a lot of problem in our preparation of the presentation, and we can learn how to problem solving, solve the problem collaborative. Yes.
Okay, so last one, King. Yeah.
In this group assignment, I learned this all countries' production into import, export, and food security. Whatever my part and her part, I also learn all because I need to present four things and then learning. Then
Okay,
that's all.
okay. Yeah. All right. So, one thing I wanted to say in this case is, when I asked this question is something that you all didn't prepare. So, Mr. Yi wanted to emphasize this is you actually have the ability to elaborate things without looking at scripts. But I guess you all are not so comfortable doing this. Like on the spot, when I ask you a question, the answers that you give, they are pretty okay, not too bad actually. But you have the ability to say sentences, you are able to provide content. So sometimes I think you all might in general, after looking at the different groups of presentation yesterday, I think students generally tend to underestimate your ability to elaborate content on the spot. So a lot of students tend to read and then they look at the scripts. So because they are very, very concerned. But by using this question, I hope that it demonstrates to you yourself that you can actually do it if you really want to. So that's actually very important. So in future, if you have any other group presentation itself, you need to consider a little bit, on throwing away the scripts and then try to use the key points only on your paper and then start to elaborate. If you arrange your key points properly, I think the whole content will come out automatically. So I didn't actually ask you to remember the percentage. Those things you can put into your paper. But overall words you can actually say out in short sentences. We don't need beautiful sentences. You just need to be natural like what you did just now. Thank you. One more question for us to go. Then I'll give you some feedback on your content. The last question in this case is, what do you think are the limitations of the research that you carry out? So what are the limitations? Kekurangan. Okay, so everybody has got to answer this as well.
Is limitation during research?
Limitations of your research, limitations of the work that you've done.
Oh, okay. I start first.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
So in my opinion, the limitation for Vietnam is the information of import is very less. Like I want to find the graph for the import in each year, but then I cannot find it and I only can search that the consumption of the years has decreasing gradually year on year, and then which country is Vietnam import the most. So the limitation will be I cannot find the import information of Vietnam. That's all.
Thank you. Let's move to the next person.
I start. Okay. For Malaysia, I doesn't feel a a lot of limitation because only for export, I find a limitation. Like I couldn't find the graph, like which year they don't have only that. But most of my friends, like Pampuchi, Luki, all they was like finding difficulty in like, oh, I don't have. Oh, you get Malaysia, that's why you can. So for Malaysia, it's like I doesn't feel so much of difficulty in finding the graphs and all that. For export, I find a difficulty. That's why I wanted to take from 2021, from 2020 to 2022, but since they was having difficulties, so they wanted from 2028. So that's why so we changed from 2018 to 2022. This is from my side. I don't know. Thank you.
So, Danitra, although you have actually a lot of information that is available in Malaysia itself, in your opinion, in this case, what do you think you would like to add on to your presentation today if you actually have even more time? So, what do you think you would consider adding?
Maybe I might add on how to which year that does they have in 2022 they have difficulties all that, and how many percentage that this country is giving to import and export. Malaysia is exporting for which country? How many percent, and what are the advantage? All that I might add in my if I got time.
Thank you so much. Let's move on to the next two person.
Thank you, sir.
Me first. In my opinion, based on my research, Indonesia production, import, export, they every year always decrease. So I think Indonesia government need to improve their country. That's all.
Sir, can I provide the limitation not for my part but for our group work?
Yeah, Ken.
The limitation of our group is coordinate and schedule. We want to meet that time when we want have a meeting. We need to rearrange the time to schedule and meet because all of us mostly lah we all have things to do. Some of our group member got work, and then we always meet very on night 10 p.m. like that. And then some of the limitation that we meet is communication. All of our group member is poor in English, so that we talk to each other that time. We need to think how we need to communicate to the person, and the things that we transfer to the next person, they know what are we talking or not. So this is the limitation of our group lah.
Thank you so much in this case, Xinyi. I mean, if you all know that these are the limitations, then you have to ask the next question. If there's a chance for you all to do the group assignment again, I mean, you still have a few more semesters to go, then you have got to ask yourself, what can I do to improve? Um, I've seen a lot of students from the diploma and then they go to the degree. So when they move from diploma to degree, in this case, some students actually sort of like improve, some students actually sort of like stay the same in this case. But if you find that this is a limitation every time, then I think it's time for you all to think about what can you do to make it better. So, for instance, if you say English is poor, then maybe you can start to practice saying more things in English. So, try to answer more things in English itself. So, you don't need to do everything at one go. English cannot be improved in one day. There's something that you have to remember. Or during your work time, if you have customers, then if they talk in English, then just talk more often in English. Oh, that's about it. Yeah. So I suppose you got to think about how you can make things better. It's not like every time it's the same. The next round we still face the same problem. The next round we still face the same problem. Then things will never improve in this case. Thank you so much for all the feedback over there. In this case, I'm going to give you some opinion about the content that you have done. Could you please put up the PowerPoint slides again? So originally itself, I plan to give you 75% for your PowerPoint presentation, PowerPoint slides in this case. But after looking through the PowerPoints, when you all do some presentation, Mr. Yi might need to cut off a little bit of marks to 70%. So let me tell you why it's actually happening. So first thing in this case, go to the first part, right to the beginning. Okay, all right to the beginning. Yeah. Now, first of all, in this case, I think in this particular introduction itself, correct me if I'm wrong, I might have heard something wrong. I think Southeast Asia includes Pakistan and India. I'm not too sure whether I heard it wrong, yeah. But for your information, Southeast Asia does not include India, Pakistan. South Asia includes India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. They are all South Asia. So Southeast Asia is very different from South Asia. So your map actually shows you that Indonesia is inside. Indonesia is not India. Yeah. So please take note. Let's cross over to the next part. I find that the font size that you all use throughout the whole presentation over there in this case, they could be a little bit different sometimes. So try to be a little bit more consistent in terms of your font sizes. For this particular slide, because you put a lot of things, then your font sizes become smaller. So if you're using this font size for other slides that you have a lot of content, Mr. Yi would advise you to use back the same font size that you have over here. So for consistency in this case. If not, then we actually see very, very different font sizes throughout the whole PowerPoint presentation, which is actually not very professional in that way. So if you want to make your group look like one team itself, then these are some of the little things that you all can do to make your marks better. So please remember the font sizes in this case can be improved. Can you understand this? Okay, so let's move on to the next part. The next one in this case, this one is actually sort of like no problem. And Xin Yi, you actually pointed out that English could be a problem. So Mr. Yi wanted to say this, yes, English can be a problem, but now I'm going to teach you some words. Barriers. The word is barriers. Okay? So learn this. Barriers. Yeah? So I think the word was not actually pronounced very well in this case. And by the way, because now technology has improved so much, you can always actually type it into the Google, and then they can actually sort of like say out the word for you all. So if you want to practice it one round, you can always copy the whole passage, put it on the Google, and then they can actually read it out for you in this case, and you can learn the pronunciation. So these are the ways to improve. So if you really want, you can consider doing this. Learn a word a day, then you can actually become better. So today you know that it is barriers, yeah? All right, so let's move on to the next part in this case. Well, I don't know why the icon for Malaysia in this case seems to be actually larger over there, because Vietnam in this case, Malaysia seems to be fatter. You may want to consider actually sort of like changing to make the size a little bit more standardized so that it looks better in this case, more consistent as well. Presentation, if it's boring, actually sometimes it's good. Presentation, if you make it boring in this case, in terms of standardization, everything is standard, it's actually good. So, but if you're actually doing if you're doing a creative video, then that one is a little bit different. But when it comes to presentation, you need more standardization, yeah? So 要整齐一点, okay, all right? So let's move on to the next part in this case. Next particular slide over here in this case, I can actually see the charts. Now the charts from this particular slide, go to the next one. Can we just cross over to the next one? And cross to the next one in this case. I noticed that every student is using different labeling on the charts. Yeah, on your axis, for Vietnam, it is 50. And then for Malaysia, in this case, is 1,250 in this case. So everybody is actually using different scale. So if you do this, it can be actually a little bit confusing for the people who's actually sort of like sitting there to listen to your presentation. So this is not encouraged. So in future, please remember to make your charts label a little bit more systematic. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Okay, yeah. All right, good. Now, the next thing that I wanted to point out is when you all discuss Indonesia, Vietnam, and Malaysia, 3% are talking about slightly different things. So which means in Malaysia, I will cover this few points. In Vietnam, I will cover this few points. And in Indonesia, in this case, I will cover the next few points itself. So I would encourage you all to consider doing this. If the first point is about import, everybody do import first. If the first point is about our own total production, everybody does production first. So when you do this, the presentation becomes more effective. But if you have different things for different areas in this case, then again, for the people who's listening to you, it might be actually sort of like quite difficult. So because you all are focusing on different things when you discuss different countries, slightly different things, not to say that they are totally different. I still see import and export over there in this case, but some people will focus a little bit more on climate change. Then suddenly the other countries don't have actually climate change issues over there. So you may want to make sure that your presentation flow and there's a connection from the first speaker to the second speaker and the third speaker. I'm not talking about the content is wrong. I'm talking about how you all arrange your idea to make it more effective so that people listen to you. I think that's actually important. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Let's move on to the next one. Yeah, for this particular slide over here in this case, I think you actually show me the Global Food Security Index, but I don't see the source given over there, yeah? So please provide the reference for this particular slide. Now, to my knowledge, yeah, sorry.
We got provide it the economies.
Is it down? No, you have got to put the reference by on this same slide, so that we know that this comes from the Economist. Is it over there, down there? I can't see it. It's down there, is it? Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
I
If
show
it's
you.
down there, I think it's all right in this case. What I mean in this case, is it on this page?
Yes.
It's on this page, okay, all right, good, yeah. Okay, all right, good. So it's actually hidden, so I couldn't actually see this. Never mind, it's all right. Just put it up again.
Okay.
Now, when you all actually have these figures here, this average 61.5 comes from where, yeah? Can I just ask a little bit? This average
In the reference,
61.5. Oh, so this average in this case is average for all the countries that they actually surveyed, is it?
But because we see the link in the reference, then it will show like a line, like for overall score, then a line, and then everyone is the ranking for each countries, and then we find the middle one like 61.5, then take it as average, and then
I see.
yeah.
So that's actually a good one. So at least you can actually do a comparison. Then there's actually no issue over there in this case, yeah? So you may want to highlight that this 61.5 in this case is the average for all the countries that has actually been surveyed in this particular research. So compared to this particular average, then what's happening? It could be a little bit clearer if you mention that. Let's go to the next part. This is the import-export in this case. Let's cross over to the next part. I don't have comments on this, but I have a little bit of comment on this in this case. Yeah. So if enough continue to trade. So Danitra, I think you are the person who's actually in charge of this. Yeah. So can I just ask, is Malaysia self-sufficient or not self-sufficient?
It's self-sufficient.
Malaysia is self-sufficient, is it? So can we just
No,
go to
it's
the...
not. It's not self-sufficient.
It's not self-sufficient, is it?
It's not. It's not.
Okay, real good. So if it's not self-sufficient, so you say Malaysia should continue to trade, am I right?
Yeah.
So this trading over here refers to Malaysia should continue to import or Malaysia should continue to export.
Import.
So let me just say your presentation points, and let you judge whether Mr. Yi said the right thing. Now, Malaysia is self-sufficient. Full stop. Malaysia should continue to import because there is government support and policies. Does it sound okay to you?
Yes.
We should continue to buy from others because we are actually supporting our farmers. Does it sound okay to you?
Yes.
It's okay, is it? What do the other people think? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Sir, you say one more time.
Yeah, you see, I don't have enough. So I need to continue to buy from others because in my own country, I support my own farmers.
Wrong. I think it's export.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Okay.
The line of reasoning in this case is actually sort of like a little bit weird. So if you say that I need to continue to import, then the reason why I need to continue to import in this case is because my technology is still very weak. Then it sounds okay. Danitra, am I right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I think the choice of the sort of like the content over here in this case is actually sort of like a little bit unsuitable. You see, if you say reason number 2, Malaysia has got technology to improve on productivity and resilience. If you put down this point, which means I shouldn't be continuing to import so much. Am I right? So the answer should be
Yes.
no. I shouldn't be continuing to trade. You get it right now?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next two. The next two in this case looks a little bit better. So compared to the first one in this case, I think the reasons given for Vietnam in this case is matching, higher matching. And the last one in this case, which is on Indonesia, I think it matches also quite well. So for the first part over there in this case, that one is a little bit off a little bit, but the other two in this case is pretty okay. So which means content wise in this case, some part accurate, some part is not that accurate overall. Yeah. So let's move on to the next part of the slide in this case, a little bit more. So Southeast Asia in this case, is it self-sufficient or not? So overall, we have got a conclusion over here in this case is Southeast Asian countries, yeah. So not Southern Asian countries in this case. I think there's actually a typo error in your notes. So please be a little bit careful because Southern Asian and Southeast are very, very different. So right now, Mr. Yi is not very unsure whether this reference that you're taking is referring to Southeast Asia or you're referring to Southern Asia. If you're referring to Southern Asia in this case, your reference over here tak boleh pakai, cannot work, because that one refers to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh area, and Sri Lanka. But if your reference in this case is pointing to Southeast Asia, then this one can pakai, So I'm not too sure about your original reference. Can you please check, Okay, so let's move on to the next part in this case, the last one. So should we actually continue to do trading in this case? I think you all have this answer over here. Let's go to the next one. Last one, the part B right now. Part B in this case, so what is the ideal form of globalization? Yeah. So there's a typo error over there in your title, ideal form, okay? Not ideal for, yeah? So ideal form of globalization for agriculture trade. Now, globalization means, in Mandarin, it means 环球化. The word globalization means connection to the other parts of the world. So Mr. Yi is asking you, what is the suitable type of connection to the other part of the world that you want to have for agriculture trade? That's the question in this case that I'm actually asking for. What type of connection do you want to have in the world for agriculture trade? So the answers given over here in this case, they are not totally wrong, but it didn't really hit the right answer that Mr. Yi is looking for. Because I say the type of connection. So during class, I said this. The type of connection that I wanted to have is I want to strengthen the connection within ASEAN. Because of what? So that could be one possible answer. Another type of connection to the world is I want to strengthen our relationship with China for agriculture trade. That is the answers that I actually sort of like suggested in the class itself. Of course, you can suggest some other answers, but what Mr. Yi wanted to say is, what is the type of connection that you want? That part of the answer is actually not so clear in your answer. You got some side points, but the main points are actually not over there yet. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So this brings us to the conclusion. It's very important for you all to understand the question. So I think that's about all that Mr. Yi wanted to say. It's very, very important to understand the question, yeah? So I'm just going to stop the recording already. Do I want to ask anything?
Sir,
Yeah.
so after we still need to submit the final form, then we can
I stop right now.
choose
This one
each-
is not wait, this is not related to the site. I mean this is not related to this presentation anymore. Just hang on, yeah.